Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today let's have a look into another one of the ToLiss Airbus models in X-Plane, and today featuring the KOSP sound set. We're sitting here in the A321 with IAE engines, and this is a special livery from Lufthansa, the Romeo Yankee, with the stickers of the Sendung mit der Maus, which is an explanation TV series for children. And like 25 years ago when this plane was built, they featured the airplane in that TV series, and ever since it's bearing that sticker. Really neat little livery, I have to say, and I'm not yet sure which one I like more, the new Lufthansa livery on that airplane or the old one. On the old one, surely you could see the elephant on the back there a little bit better, but I suppose that is just about asking a little bit too much right now. Okay, so how about we head right into the cockpit and we take it flying. So, safety inspection then. We've got the weather radar off, masters off, ignition norm, landing gear down, wipers off, battery voltage above 25.5. So let's go ahead and turn the battery voltages on. We do have external power available, so that is going to be used. Okay, adjust the lights as necessary, and I am going to use just a little bit of them because I know how X-Plane likes to do the contrast a little bit too strong, and for that reason I am using a bit of the lights here in daylight. Okay then, radio main panels on, APU test looks good, and then we can do our IRSs. Okay, 1, 2 and 3. So I got a couple of questions from people asking like, so why do you rotate the left, then the right, and then the middle? Well, the answer to that is, the left one, the number 1, supplies data to the captain's systems, the number 2 to the first officers, and that's the reason it is on the right hand side. And then number 3 is one in the middle where both pilots can have access to with the ECAM switching panel down here. So from here you can switch around which of the ADARUs you want to use on which side. So you've got captain on 3 or first officer on 3, and just in order to have this right in the muscle memory, we always switch 1, 2, 3 so that we don't confuse them if something actually ever happens where we need to make good use of them in a situation where we are under pressure. So that's the reason behind that. Okay then. So, flaps agree with the lever, speed brakes retracted, we should have chocks in position, parking pressure looks good. So let's quickly check the alternate brake system. Looks good, and brake is set again. Okay, so, database looks good. Let's go ahead and request our flight plan and request our weather as well. So this is just gonna take a little while now to uplink. In the meantime, let's have a look into our flight plan today. And we are currently sitting in Hamburg, and we're going to fly this one over to Munich. Typical Lufthansa A321 route that you see flown a lot every day. Okay, so let's start having a look into the weather. I did check the no times on the pre-flight already when I created the flight plan. And in terms of the weather, Munich is showing okay, variable winds. And later during the day they're going to get some thunderstorms, but we're going to arrive long before that as this is an early morning flight. Alternate Nuremberg looking good as well, thunderstorms coming in a little bit earlier from 1800 local, so the thunderstorms are probably moving in from the north. However, looking over here to Dresden, weather is good as well. And finally we've got Frankfurt, which is showing good as well. Alright, and finally for the weather in Hamburg, our departure airport, everything is looking good as well. So overall, very good weather conditions for the flight, so I don't see any reason to take any extra fuel. So let's have a look into this. We have 6.3 plus our taxi fuel of 135 for 10 minutes, so make that roughly 6.4 tons of fuel that we need for our flight. Okay, 6.4 tons, we might as well start loading that up. 200 passengers today. And then 6.4, you know what, let's make that 6.5 just in case. So, refueling requested. Cargo, not too much, however, we do carry a little bit, 1.5 tons. Load that up as well, please. Thank you. Alright, cool. So, flight plan is uplinked, then we can quickly grab the latest weather as well. Here we go. And let's take the printout. Thank you very much. Okay, so aircraft status looks good. Aircraft initialization looks good as well. You can go ahead and align the IRSs on this one. Here we go. And our alternate airport is in Stuttgart, but Nürnberg instead. Okay, perfect. Then, colleague is going out for the walk around, and it is our time to do the cockpit inspection. How's the refueling going? About finished, 6.5. So, full house of passengers today, that means no econ flow. Battery charging. Works. Okay, fuel pumps are on already, so somebody didn't run their shutdown checklist. They probably wanted to go to that rather quickly, and we're taking the airplane over early in the morning, so that is... happens. Let's just call it, it happens. Okay, 1016. All of that looks good. Why are the slides armed already? Come on. Do some work. The same goes for you. Can we open them like that? Not really, huh? Okay. Well, that's a pity, but so be it. Okay, weather radar, and then we've got the door lock. We are certainly going to put that one into the norm position. And finally, TCAS into a buff. Here we go. Okay, cool then. Time to start with our init page. So that's all in, uplinked. Then Hamburg departure. The winds are 160 at 4, but nonetheless we can use runway 33 for this one. And our departure is going to be an AMLU departure. They planned 2-3, but 3-3 is fine as well. That's typical configuration in Hamburg. Okay, so AMLU departure and then arrival runway 08 left today. Coming in via Landu, so it's going to be the Landu 08 transition. Like so. Secondary flight plan, we go to the engine out point, which is Hamburg X4. That's on the runway track 330. And simply 25 miles ahead. Okay, store that one please. Immediate return. Even though the ToLiss has some issues activating secondary flight plan, but I'm going to program it anyway. Okay, let's draw the extended center line up here, and then finally Hamburg X4 in here as well. Okay, that's our routing entered. Now it's just saving it up so that we can do our route check. New one please, store active. And here we go, Hamburg to Munich. So, AMLU, Mike 852 Danix, direct Zucker. And that's what we have here indeed. Then Galma, Tango 703 Lula. And we've got direct Galma, Tango 703 Lula. And then Tango 105 Landu. And that's what we have. Okay. Then let's go ahead with some of the performance. And we can get that right from here. 69.3, 26.0. Fuel 6.5 in the tanks, so the uplinked weights were the plan from SimBrief, but we aren't going to follow the plan exactly. Our weights are always going to deviate a little bit, which is totally normal. Okay, takeoff performance, it suggests 1 plus F. Now for tail strike avoidance we're going to use config 2, so it's going to be config 2 up trim point 6 and 53 degrees. 2/up 0.6. And what did I say? 53 degrees. Okay, 143, 143, 146. 43, 43, 46. And finally, noise abatement. We're going to fly noise abatement procedure number 2 today. So that's going to be 1030/1030. So basically 1000 above field elevation. And the engine out is going to be 1530. Perfect. So we've got a speed restriction on here anyway, 210 knots. And that is actually even above the slat and flap speed. So we've got to delay the flap retraction a little bit today. That is something to note at this point. Then let's have a look into the flight plan and see what they've got for us. At that time we might as well grab some charts. So airport, we've got the airport chart, we've got the parking chart, and finally we want our SID as well. And it's an AMLU on-off departure. Perfect. So, any interesting stuff up here? When passing 2000, contact Bremen radar 119510. And 250 below 100. Not applicable in airspace Charlie, but it's weekend, so with the risk of VFR traffic, we might rather be careful. Okay, initial climb clearance to 5000. And that's set. Okay, cool. Then, runway 33, AMLU 1 Golf, 210 knots, 500 feet. And we have got 500 feet, maximum 210 knots, and that is on here indeed. Yep, here it is. Okay, then Delta Hotel 250, max 210 knots, above 700, above 670, that's what we have. After that we've got Delta Hotel 251, maximum 210 knots, and we've got 251, 210 knots. Then Delta Hotel 252, max 210 knots once again. So that is 252, 210 knots, and then we've got 262 above 4000, Hamburg AMLU. Okay, so here's 262, 4000 above, Hamburg and AMLU. And that's our SID. Okay, for the rest of the flight plan, let's quickly check through that as well. Oh, look at the line drawing here. That doesn't seem right. 10 miles off. Did I accidentally put any overfly waypoints in there? No. Okay, well, that's probably gonna go better in cruise when we actually get there, but we'll have an eye on it. Let's see if the plane got any surprises for us there. Alright, in any case, the rest of the route is looking good. We don't need any nav aids tuned. Hamburg has been tuned automatically. Alright, perfect. So, are you ready for the departure briefing? We've got Hamburg runway 33, AMLU 1 Golf departure, climbing 5000 feet, and the MSA in this sector is 2100 feet. Okay, MSA 2100, extra fuel. We've got 20 minutes in form of 800 kilos. For the planned taxi, I do see one hotspot, which is close to the runway intersection down there. So let's see if we can get that a bit bigger. Here it is. So parking 5 Bravo will probably go over the orange line, might be the blue line as well, depending on which one it is. We've got to be a little bit careful down here with the different intersections available. So Bravo 3, Bravo 4, Bravo 5. We'll take that slow, we take that careful. Also, we have quite a high workload on the way down here, but let's talk about that later. So stop margin for rejected takeoff in the region 1129 meters, and the engine outset takes us straight at 25 miles to the Hamburg X4 point, and we can see that on the plan over here. We climbed 3000 feet, that's going to keep us safe above the MSA of 2100 feet. Immediate return is possible. We are just about under the maximum landing weight, I believe. Yeah, takeoff weight 75, and the max landing weight is As you can see over here, 77.8. Okay, special operation, we have to keep the flaps extended probably all the way in 2 until we've flown that initial turn here with the 210 knot speed restrictions on there. So basically the one up here at Delta Hotel 252. So that's quite a long time flying with the flaps extended. Thinking about it, it's 210 knots as a restriction, and we've got 211 knot as our S speed over there. So might retract the flaps from 2 to 1, but then we've got to keep the 1 position until we are past the speed restrictions. Okay, threats for the departure. It's a pretty short taxi, so we've got to manage our time well, and we will not let ATC rush us into the departure. Instead, we are simply going to tell them that we need a bit more time. Any questions? No? Okay, nice. Then let's do the cockpit preparation checklist. Gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity 5,620 kilogram balanced. Seatbelts on. ADRs. So they're enough. They're 0.7 miles out, so I didn't align them very well. But anyway, 0.7 is within acceptable range. And barrel ref QNH 1016. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. Okay, start up the APU. We've got all the passengers on board already. Indeed, they closed and armed the doors already. So it is about time we can prepare the airplane for pushback. One last thing I want to do, however. I just noticed we calculated our takeoff performance for the full length. But if you look at this, chances are we're going to depart somewhere out of Bravo 3 or Bravo 4 or Bravo 5 up here. But we calculated for Bravo 1. Now, looking into the performance, we have got plenty of stop margin, but we might be climb limited, even though it says RTOW 93.4, so it's not that much of a problem. However, for the sake of it, let's quickly go into the charts once more. Airport info. So, takeoff run available from runway 33, and we'll take what intersection? Bravo 5. So, from Bravo 5, we've got 3,254 meters. So, let's do a little bit of mathematics. The runway is 3,666 minus, what's that? Minus 3,254. So that's a 412 meter runway shortening, and we can put that into here. Intersection takeoff. So that's probably, if it's the same format as the MCDU, we enter 412. Let's see what the performance tells us. Yeah. So, okay, so let's quickly check the data. Flaps 2 up 0.6. That's what we have. Now it is 53 degrees flex. We have that as well. Takeoff speeds 43, 43, 46, and we have those as well. Perfect. Okay, so now we've got the takeoff performance calculated correctly as well. Makes our life a little bit easier, and most certainly makes us legal. Okay, pre-planned pushback, and that routing indeed looks incorrect to me. Okay, delete segment. We are gonna push the other way around. And we'll stay clear of the road. That looks fine to me.
Round to cockpit. Land acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you're ready.
Okay. You know what, guys? You can already start getting this set up.
Round to cockpit. Till driving up.
Okay, company message. Probably still the weather. Yeah, still the weather. The one we requested and printed earlier on. So that's fine. Okay, cool. GPS primary, thank you. Ground cockpit. Please disconnect external power and you can remove chocks, park and brake set. Okay, that looks all good. Cabin crew, all doors in flight. Okay, let's request pushback clearance.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect. Set parking brake.
Park and brake set. Okay, Lufthansa 1 Echo request, pushback and startup. So Lufthansa 1 Echo pushback approved, runway 33 facing south. Okay. Windows, slides arm, thrust lever idle, park brake. Set before start checklist, please. Park and brake, set, takeoff speeds and thrust. 143, 143, 146, flex 53. Windows, closed, beacon on, before start checklist complete.
Now connected and bypass pin inserted, release parking brake.
Brake released.
Starting pushback, and you may start the engines.
Okay, Squawk 1000. I kinda like to fly. Not always the default Squawk 2000, if you know what I mean. Makes the displays always look the same. I don't like that. Okay, so weather is looking good, so we can pretty much turn the train displays on straight away. And we've got the IAE engine, so we're flying an EPR today, and that means we'll have a rather long engine start. So I suppose as soon as we are beyond the red line that you can see over there, we are going to commence our engine start. Okay, should be well clear. Ground cockpit, clear to start. Clear to start. Engine 2 start. So the axes are gone. This one is normal for the IAE engines. Engine 2 start. Let's take a timing, see how long that's gonna take. We don't need to, the engine start is all automatic in the Airbus, but I'm just wondering how long it's actually gonna take to start them up. I like how the vehicles are actually holding for you in X-Plane. That's something that I would really wish for in MSFS as well. But instead they just don't care and just drive right through you. Okay, sounds like the engine is finally running up. Let's jump inside, have a look. Okay, avail after about a minute.
Please set parking brake.
Okay, engine 1 start. Parking brake set, cleared to remove.
Stand by.
Thank you. He's faster than I can tell him what to do. Feels a little bit strange that we've got the numbers X'd out over here, but that is just how the IAE engine start works in the Airbus. Okay, let's wait a little bit longer until the engine has started to run up properly before we tell them to disconnect. Okay, looks good. So, clear to disconnect, hand signals left side with a pin, and have a good day. And avail, perfect.
Now it's disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. I'll see you next time. Have a safe flight.
Thank you, clear disconnect, and have a good day. Ciao. Okay, what do we have here? 26, something like that. And we've got 26.1. Perfect. Alright, cool. So there's the tuck. And he is holding a pin. Perfect. After start checklist. RTIs off, econ status checked, pitch trim 26%, rudder trim neutral, after start checklist complete. Flight control check. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudder, full left, full right, neutral, So, request taxi, please. Clear left side, clear right side. Brake check. Pressure 0. Okay, I don't see any changes to the takeoff briefing. Everything pretty much stayed exactly the way we planned it. And then I would say you can start with your flow. Let's see if we can get the cabin ready by the time we reach the holding position. Okay, that's engine 1 and 2 low oil temperature delay takeoff. Okay. Then we'll do that. On such a short taxi as we have it here in Hamburg, that is absolutely expected to get messages like this, so nothing to worry about. That is basically normal. I'm not going to clear the messages because they're going to vanish by themselves by the time the engines have warmed up sufficiently. What I do find interesting though is that on the A320 family with conventional engines it still shows the temperatures in green, while on the Neos it's going to show them in amber when this happens. Okay, I am going to go for Bravo 3 today. I do believe normally you'd take Bravo 4, but I'm just thinking, well, if we have to hold anyway, we might as well take a bit more runway. We might as well have taxied to the full length over there, but you know, we did the performance, we got plenty of performance reserves. Okay, park and brake set. So, engine 2 is warm enough, so 50 degrees seems to be the threshold, as we can see down here. Now we're just waiting for engine number 1. A small word, by the way, on taxiing your airplane up to the holding point. You can see that I taxied for what most simmers would say, forward rather much, so you can just about see the hold throttle line become visible in the side window over there. Now if you go to the outside, you will see that I'm actually standing right in front of the holding point. What you need to keep in mind there when you do something like this is that you've got a very limited visibility up there. Now for the A320 family, I don't know exactly how much is cut off down here. On the 737 it was roughly 9 meters, so you really couldn't see that far forward. But if you kept the hold throttle line visible up here in the front window and you stopped there, then you would basically be standing like 9 meters too far to the back. And if we now have a look into what this looks like, over here you've got a little bit of margin. But there are airports where you don't have much margin to the taxi line behind you. And there have been cases, for example in Frankfurt on Mike 8, where aircraft taxiing behind clipped the tail of aircraft standing at the holding point who did not taxi forward far enough. So, certainly something to keep an eye out upon, and learn the correct viewing angles for your airplane to taxi the airplane all the way up to the holding point. Okay, so the messages are gone. That means the engines are warm enough. Let's ding the cabin, and they are ready. Okay, taxi checklist. Flight controls checked, flap setting, config 2, radar and predictive wind shear, on and auto, engine start select, norm, ECAM memo, takeoff no blue, taxi checklist complete. Alright then, cleared for takeoff runway 33. Cabin crew prepare for departure. Lineup checklist. Takeoff runway 33 via Bravo 3. TCAS. TARA. PAX 1 and 2 off. Lineup checklist complete. Okay, left is clear. Even though they don't really land on runway 33 in Hamburg, it is mostly takeoff runway. It's not forbidden, there are approaches available, contrary to runway 18 for example in Frankfurt. But it is just not regularly done. Primary landing runway I tend to say is either 23 or 15. Okay, cool. Ready? Takeoff. Manflex 53 SRS, auto thrust blue. No localizer installed on this runway, and for that reason you don't get the runway mode on your FMA. Thrust set. V1, rotate. Positive climb, gear up. Nav, checked. So let's do a little bit of manual flight here. Thrust climb, climb, auto thrust. Flaps 1, speed checked, flaps 1. And we're gonna keep him in 1. That is an overspeed by 1 knot, I can absolutely live with that. You look at this, it even looks like the same speed. If somebody asks, we can always say like, no, we were 1 knot too fast. I can't understand that. Okay, one more turn, then we got it. Then we can continue the acceleration. Okay, climb flight level 100. Autopilot 1. Enough hand flying for now. Set standard. Standard cross-check passing flight level 5-3. Now. Checked. Okay, airplane, time to pitch down. Here we go, flap 0. Speed checked, flaps 0. So X-Plane can look good after all. Looking at this, it absolutely can. And so does delivery. I just like it. I really like it. Okay, cool. Back to our job as flying the airplane. So let's continue flight level 250. And then, what are we planned at? Optimum 351, cruising 330. Might as well go 350 then, if it is available. So, how good of a job did Eurocontrol do this time? Yeah, it's alright. I mean, it's not exactly a straight line, but it's not too many turns either. I mean, let's be honest, over here you are going to get shortcuts anyway. So it looks alright, we can do it like that. Okay, through the cloud layer, through a couple of holes over here, very good, so we don't need anti-ice. Or we don't anyway with these temperatures, 13 degrees right now. 10,000. So, let's release passengers as well. Then, RADNAV is clear, active to secondary. We can remove the fixed pages. And last but not least, cruising 330, optimum 351, maximum 370. So I would say we're gonna go 350 then. And I do have a feeling that air traffic control is going to give it to us today. Alright, and that's it. We are en route. So, I know that things do tend to get a little bit boring for you on flights of this length. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Do let me know in the comments, by the way, what you think about me speeding up flights like this. I'm not 100% sure yet, to be honest. I have a feeling that either it's going to be boring for many of you just watching the entire thing pass by, or it's going to be exactly the other way around, and you will be like, hey, cool, I can finally watch the entire flight without having to sit here for so long. So do let me know in the comments below. I am very much looking forward to that, and in the meantime, let's put on the afterburners and jump to light speed. I'll see you all a little bit later. $55 miles to run to the top of descent, and there is a little bit of a chance for some further shortcut, even though that would mean we'd fly directly through the departure area, so we'll have to see what ATC Munich is up to today. In any case, we can start by preparing our charts and doing some landing calculation, and then we'll have a look into the further operations. For the arrival, we've got runway 08 in use, so it's going to be the Landu 08 transition, and for the arrival, or for the approach, it's going to be an ILS approach, 08 left. Then we can go on and grab some general airport charts, so taxi chart is always a good idea, and then we take the parking stands east, which is where we are going to park today. Let's also use the opportunity to grab the latest weather, so that we've got everything handy when we need it. Okay, our landing performance, reset that for me please, and then let's just run a general calculation. Looks quite good. What happens if we go auto brakes medium? Looks even better. So some general considerations for the planning here. We're landing 08 left, so if we take the first rapid exit taxiway, that basically brings us directly to the apron we want to go to. The brakes are going to get rather hot, but then again we've got an hour turnaround time, so that isn't really much of a concern for us. So config full or auto brake medium is something that I would generally start thinking about. Gives us about 1,500 meters landing run. Compared to that, if we take auto brakes low, you can see we've got a factored landing distance there of 2,409, and that is definitely too much. Might bring us well into the second exit. If we had a short turnaround, we would consider doing that, but today I don't really see the need for that. But okay, let's go ahead and grab the latest weather and then see what that's up to. 04084, slightly variable, 23 degrees, 1020. So a couple of you asked me, like, can you pre-select the QNH in the Airbus? Well, yeah, you can simply switch to QNH and then change it around. Now, if you have a look at this, you'll notice the Airbus is simply going to maintain the flight level anyway, even if you switch to local QNH in cruise flight, because it knows that you are flying on standard pressure as you're in the flight levels, and for that reason it simply is not going to correct for that. So that way you can easily pre-select your landing altimeter setting without having to worry too much about anything else. Okay, cool then, let's quickly click away the new messages, we just printed them, thank you. Okay, then let's start with this. Eventually it's going to be radar vectors to final towards Margat for an ILS approach 08 left. Let's have a look into the chart to see what we actually need for the approach. or rather for the missed approach there. It's Delta Mike November and then Mike India Quebec, so we can tune those. So we'll take DMN, DME Munich North, and then Mike India Quebec into the ADFs. Pretty much like so, and then let's take ADF 2 and VOR 1 for the approach setup. Munich 08 left is still correct. Now let's have a look into this for the descent. 295 knots looks good. And the weather, QNH 1020. Temperature 23. And the wind 040 with 4. Okay, so let's see what the MDA is for this one. 1667. And config full as previously briefed. Okay, cool. Extra fuel 27 minutes. Secondary flight plan. Let's prepare runway 08 right, just in case we do happen to get that. I'm going to make a copy of the active first. Arrival 08 right. Okay, the rest is unchanged. And then secondary performance. Let's see, it actually memorized all of that. Good. Okay, and over here, let's quickly find the minimum for that one. Approach 08 right. 1686. Okay, cool. And that's our setup done. I just love how easy it is in the Airbus. Okay, ready for the briefing? Then, let's go on with that stuff. Okay, MSA for the arrival, 3700. Lando 08 transition for an ILS approach runway 08. Minimum is 1667. Go around trajectory straight at 1 DME from Delta Mike November. All 1,900 whatever later left to Mike India Quebec, climbing 5,000 feet. Extra fuel and time, 27 minutes in form of 1 ton of fuel. Okay, guidance for the approach is going to be the approach mode, so localizing glide slope, landing flaps full, stop margin, we have 2,419 meters. Reverser, we are going to use them in maximum reverse and auto brakes medium. Planned runway exit then is the first rapid exit taxiway. Hotspots for taxiing, I do not really see any over there, and special operations I have nothing as well. Do you see any threats for the arrival? No? Okay, great, so that's the approach briefing completed. Then let's see, 10 miles to run, so that's plenty of time to do a very quick PA to the passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, from flight deck, this is your captain speaking. We are shortly going to start our descent towards Munich with a remaining flight time of 25 minutes. Weather in Munich, currently very nice, 23 degrees centigrade with a light wind coming from the east and a few clouds. Would like to thank you very much for choosing Lufthansa today. Hope that you've enjoyed your stay on board and wish you a nice and safe continuous journey. And in any case, we look forward to welcome you again on board of your next scheduled Lufthansa flight. Thank you very much for your attention, and I see you all again on the next one. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren aus dem Cockpit, Ihr Kapitän, wir starten in Kürze unseren Sinkflug nach München. Die verbleibende Flugzeit noch 25 Minuten. Das Wetter ist schön, 23 Grad mit einem leichten Wind aus Ost und einer vereinzelten Bewölkung. Wir bedanken uns herzlich, dass Sie heute unsere Gäste waren, wünschen Ihnen einen schönen Aufenthalt, gegebenenfalls eine gute und sichere Weiterreise und würden uns freuen, Sie bald wieder an Bord eines unserer Flugzeuge willkommen zu heißen. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. Okay, that's passengers catered. Let's go for the descent. First idle descent, alt flight level 250 blue. Checked. Okay, down we go. And that's it already. From here on, I'll speed things up a little bit once more, so that things don't get too boring for you. So I seal back a little bit lower. We're approaching 10,000 feet on the downwind for runway 08. Munich Airport is located just down here. So, we had a general rule there in the 737 that we wanted to be about 7,000 feet above field elevation when we are on downwind for a 10-mile final. In the Airbus you can be a little bit higher, it can be like 8,000 or 9,000 feet above, and as you can see we're at level 100, so that is quite a good spot to be. Also, final is a little bit longer than 10 miles over here, so that's going to make our life even easier. So let's go down to 5,000. Set QNH 1020. Cross checked. 10,200 now. Checked. First start, open descent out, 5,000 blue. Okay, 10,000 feet. I turned the seatbelts on a tiny bit earlier already, so that the cabin had sufficient time to prepare. And then we've got GPS primary, and the start selector is in norm. Okay, perfect. Plus we can obviously use the LS buttons. Okay, cool. Then let's go ahead and read the approach checklist. Barrel ref, QNH 1020, seatbelts on, minimum, MDA 1667, auto brake, medium, engine start selector, norm, approach checklist complete. Okay, cool, let's start reducing our speeds. Activate approach phase. So if we look at the level of arrow over here, we can see we need like a little bit more than 10 miles. So my plan right now is as follows. We got about 5 miles until we rebeam the final approach fix. Then we got 5 miles for the base, plus obviously a little bit for the turns, which is what I plan to use to lose our airspeed. And that basically is the energy management that I've planned for the remainder of the flight. You also just saw a glide slope running through here. Now, MSFS users will probably be a little bit less familiar with that. And what is not shown in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but what is indeed very common in real life, is the side lobes of the ILS. Now, what do I mean with that? You can see it coming back right now, but all of this is incorrect indications, because you've got the normal 3-degree glide slope, but then you've got an inverted one on a 6-degree slope, and then another, let's call it normal one, on a 9-degree slope. And that is what we're passing through at the moment, those 6 and 9-degree glide slopes. You've got to be very careful not to accidentally intercept one of those. That can end really bad. Just look at the I believe it was Atlas 747 on behalf of Turkish Airlines that crashed like that when they intercepted a 9-degree glide slope. Okay, flaps 1, speed checked. Also, there was a Ryanair aircraft at Eindhoven that had similar issues, that intercepted the inverted 6-degree slope, and the autopilot got totally confused, couldn't handle it, and the result was, well, let's just call it not pretty. The pilot saved it, but it was really unfortunate that it even had to come so far in first place. Can really recommend reading the report, there's some really good information in there. Okay, flight plan sequenced. So we've got 2,000 feet to descend, speed is looking good already, so I would say we're pretty much spot on. Now look at the wind over here, 240 at 17, while on the ground it is 040 with 4. That makes for the most interesting approaches, doesn't it? Okay, that glide slope looks real down there. Well, you know what, if we've got such a strong wind, let's go flaps 2. Then we'll take a speed of 180 or something the likes, just to be sure that our ground speed is under control. Because that's the most important thing over here, keeping your ground speed under control. You can always lose indicated, but if you're coming in at, let's say for example, 180 knots indicated, but 240 knots ground speed, you are not going to be able to solve that. Okay then, cleared ILS. Glide slope localizer blue, Cat3 dual autopilot 1 and 2. So now it's 11 knots of wind, that's better. but that is going to shift all the way around. Speed, glide slope, localizer star. Go around altitude 5000 set. Okay, then let's get the speed even further down. Let's make 170 knots. And even with the 170 up here, 175 right now, we're still doing 200 knots at ground speed. That's the combination of hot and high. Oops. I mean, look at this. We've got 18 degrees or 14 degrees up there, but we're in 5,000 feet, so that is easily standard atmosphere plus 10 degrees right now. And then, of course, we've got the elevation of Munich combined with the tailwind, and here you've got it. We're established on the ILS, 170 knots indicated, but 195 knots ground speed. And even true airspeed is still 187, so that's 17 knots difference. And that is quite a bit. So it was absolutely a good idea that we slowed the airplane down a little bit earlier. Okay, now the wind is coming around. But still somewhat fixated on a tailwind there, but at least losing in strength. Okay, so I would say it was a good idea to reduce the speed earlier, and now everything is under control actually. Okay, 10 miles out, 185 knots, wind is coming cross now, probably slowly transitioning into a headwind. And that does look good. Okay, cool, let's do a little bit of manual flying. Okay, autopilot and auto thrust off. Cat 1. So we're flying IAE engines. That means primary control is by EPR. However, let's be honest here, who of you can fly in EPR exactly? For that reason, we're simply going to use the N1 as a reference, even though we do select our thrust using EPR. And that is how we fly these aircraft. Of course, everybody can remember stuff like 0 degrees pitch, 40% power. That's easy. But who can remember 1.013 EPR? Okay, gear down. Speed managed again. Flaps 3, speed checked, and flaps full. Speed checked, flaps full. Landing checklist, ECAM memo, landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. So mostly when you get those speed restrictions, it's gonna be 170 knots until 5 dmi. I took the freedom to reduce a little bit earlier today. Obviously in real life I would have kept the speed till 5 miles and you'd still extend the gear, but then you just fly a little bit with the gear out. And that's it. In the A330, 170 until 5, it's probably not going to work anyway, so we just tell them unable, we can do 160. And then ATC would have to find a solution for that.
1000.
Checked. Okay, so let's see. We've got about 50% N1 and a pitch of some 1.5 or 2 degrees there, and that keeps us stable. And again, personally, I couldn't fly that based on EPR, so we are simply going to use N1 for that. Much easier.
500.
Okay, so now that I said so often how easy it is, I better make a good landing. The pressure is on. Land.
Above.
Checked. Continue. A little bit long, but overall alright. Okay, reversers don't want to work. Okay, that's not good. So we've got spoilers, decel. 70 knots. Okay, manual brakes. That is gonna mean some hot brakes. Okay, brake fan on. Might lead to some oxidations on the brake, but flying all the different ToLiss types at the moment, I might probably have forgotten to assign the F1 and F2 buttons in the ToLiss menu for this. So yeah, that's probably the reason why the reverses didn't come out. Okay, well, then we made an exit later than planned, that's it. Now we just gotta have a good eye on our brake temperatures, because they will get rather warm. Okay, after landing checklist, radar and PWS off, after landing checklist complete. Okay, so a little bit of a floater on the landing. If I had touched down just on the aiming point, then we would probably have been able to make the first exit, but like that, we've just got to taxi back a little bit. It's not too far anyway. But we need to keep an eye on the brake temperatures. You can see right now they're 360 already. And they will go up a little bit more. So, for that reason, the brake fan is definitely a good idea straight away. Alright, cool. So we're going to go via November 4 and then onto the main apron. Let's see where we're going to park today. Probably going to be somewhere up here around 246, 247. That does look good in my opinion. Okay, clear left, clear right. Unfortunately, I still have the issue with the bridges over here. I just couldn't get around to get that fixed by now. And the long loading times of X-Plane, together with my limited time available these days, makes it a bit hard to experiment with this stuff for too long. So my apologies for this looking a little bit strange, but I thought the scenery itself in Munich still looks so incredibly good overall that I just thought, well, just for this little problem up here, I'm not going to not fly to Munich. It's probably one of the best sceneries I've seen in the simulator so far. Really have to say that. Okay, let's start the APU. So 246 is our gate. That should be like the third gate over here. Okay, yep, there it is. 246. Perfect. Okay, 245. And here we go, 246. So, A321. We need to overshoot a little bit more. But here we go. That was probably a little bit too much now. It becomes a little bit of a challenge when you fly 3 different types. Well, 4 including the 340. But the taxicam is a bit of a cheat there. Okay, so A321 is correct. Stop. Okay. Brake set, APU is on. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Engines running down. Okay, are they gonna do their stuff? Yes, they do. Perfect. Okay, cool. Parking checklist. Park and brake or trucks. Brake set. Engines off. Wing light off. Fuel pumps off. Parking checklist complete. So. Transponder goes off. Let's check the IRSs. 0.3, 1.2, 1.3. Okay, so that is all right. And for the fuel, we've got 20 kilos difference. Perfect. Alright guys, that's gonna be it. Thank you very much for flying. I do hope that you all have enjoyed this one. So, let me know what you think about the KOSP sound set now that we have seen it in action. Personally, I'm not gonna go into any judgment whether the KOSP or the BSS is better. I just have to fly a little bit more. And in the meantime, I would like to say thank you very much for watching, everyone. I do hope you enjoyed this. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if there is any other of the ToLiss Airbus variants you want me to fly a little bit more, so that I can do some more stuff for you. Thank you very much for your attention. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like, as it does help with the YouTube algorithms. Comment to let me know what you think and what I can do better. And finally, if there is anything more you want to see, why not subscribe to the channel, as that is going to get you the best access to future videos. Thank you very much for watching. If you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. And in the meantime, I'd like to thank you very much, and I see you all in the virtual skies on the next one, regardless in which aircraft type that is actually going to be.